Okay, YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be running you through how to adjust valve lash or valve clearance on your Subaru. It's a naturally aspirated Subaru we're working on today, an EJ253. This will keep your car running smooth, get rid of that ticky valve train noise, and overall keep your engine running longer. Okay, first step to doing this is to make sure you're not going to need the car for a little bit. You have to take the valve covers off to do this, so make sure you have a drain pan. You might lose a little bit of oil. And then base part of it is finding the right tools. You're going to need a 10 mil wrench, 10 mil socket with a ratchet, or in my case I'll be using a little impact. You'll need a standard or a flathead screwdriver. And the most specialized tool you're going to need is a good set of feeler gauges to accurately adjust your valves so you're not doing it too tight or too loose. And to turn the crank over, you're going to need I believe it's a 22 or a 24 mil socket, but I'm going to make do with a 7/8. It fits so that you can put each piston at top dead center and adjust the valves. First thing you want to remove is the battery here. You're going to need it out of the way, so undo it first. Then you're going to have to take off this bracket to remove it because you need to get down to this valve cover. The other side, you have to take off the air box, take off this clip, take off the entire intake to make room. I also like to take off this little shroud. It just gives you a lot more room. So as you can see, I've gone ahead and removed the battery and a few other things. I've removed your vent cover breather, this, not the plug wire, this guy here. You remove your two plug wires by disconnecting this clip nicely with that flathead screwdriver. Try not to break it. Then you take out your plug boots and get them out of the way. I put this one over here, that one over there. One thing I failed to mention, and will make your job a lot easier, is get yourself a plug socket with a good extension. You might need a different variation of extensions for the other side, but this side, a 6-inch extension will do. Take your plugs out, replace them. I will be if you need to. And this enables you to turn the motor over to get each piston to top dead center without having to fight each compression cycle. Just makes your job that much easier. Okay, I'm going to pause for a moment and show you probably the most difficult part to this entire job. You can see those two bolts, or rather the bolt holes there and there. Those are the two farthest back and most bottom bolts on this valve cover. They look like this when they come out. Those are probably the worst ones to get out. So have a good 10 mil wrench and use the box end, because you most likely will not be able to fit a ratchet with a socket in there. This is probably the most time-consuming part, is getting those bolts out, especially if they haven't been out before. Mine have, so once I got them loosened off, they were able to come out with my fingers. But that is probably the worst part. But I'll continue. I've got 4 more left, and then we'll see the valves. Okay, a bit of an update. I got the valve cover off. It ended up being a bit more of a thing than I was anticipating. I haven't done one of these in a few years, at least on this one, and I completely forgot. There's a guard here that goes over top of your fuel rail. They're 12 mil bolts. There should be 4 of them. You got to take that off if you want to be able to sneak the valve cover out from between the body and the engine. At least this is the case on the 06 and 07 Imprezas. The other models could vary. I think Outback and Forester have a little bit more room. Now that we have our valve covers off, we're going to get our feeler gauges ready. I'm going to be setting the exhaust valves at 0.229 mil, just because it's the closest I can get to 0.221, and the intake will be put at 178, so 0.178 mil. That's as close as I can get to 0.16, which is the minimum clearance they allow for the intake, and the other is the minimum they allow for the exhaust. Okay, this arrow, which is on your camshaft, you want to have pointing up for the first part for doing cylinder 1. That pointing up at that little white notch there that I marked in white makes the first cylinder rest at top dead center, so all the valves are closed and you can check the clearances when that's at top dead center. Now, just as an example here, I know this is cylinder 2, but I noticed this, I believe I found where my click is. If you can hear that. Now, the maximum spec for the intake valves is 0.24, and as you can see, I have a 0.254 fitting in here. It is a little bit snug, but that is at its max and slightly over specifications. So when I get the cylinder 2, I'll know to make sure those are down to my 0.178, so I have no more click. You see how this 1.78 fits in there? Very snugly though, mind you. That's below spec, but about where I want it. You can go within spec if you feel, which would be 0.20. But as for this upper intake valve here, this is, the intake valves are on the top, just so you know, and the exhausts are on the bottom with these boxer motors. And the same with this other intake on the first cylinder. This is a little looser, but it's still a snug fit. That is a good adjustment, because when that heats up, you won't get this click, or is this bad of a click. So all you have to do is take a 10mm wrench, loosen that off, take your screw, adjust in and out to where you want it, and then use the 10mm wrench to tighten it up. But I also recommend using your screwdriver with that 10mm wrench so that this doesn't move from where you want it, and then double check it is within spec or the spec you want it at. Same goes for the exhaust valves on the bottom. They're obviously a little bit more difficult to do. You can do it from underneath if you wish, but I'm doing it in my garage, so I'll be doing it from the top. And then after that, to do the same for each cylinder, all you have to do is turn your crank 180 degrees so that the next cylinder will be at top dead, and then the same for number 3 and number 4. Okay guys, I hope this video helped. If you have any questions, just ask me in the comment. Now, putting this vehicle back together, it's going to take a lot longer than just a couple hours. I mean, maybe you're better than me, maybe you can get it done in an hour, but I'm meticulous. I'm going to be doing the plugs, I'm going to be doing the wires. Also inspect your valve cover gasket and the little donuts that go around your spark plug little chutes there. They get hard. Replace those if you need to. Might as well do it while you're there. After that, put everything back together in reverse order, and thank you for watching.